She smiled across the table, but Heaven saw what was behind it. It was the kind of smile that didn't touch the soul, polite, tight, stretched like fabric trying not to tear. You caught it for only a second, but your spirit clocked it like a warning bell. There was something too calm in her presence, too prepared, as if she'd already practiced this moment 100 times in her head. The clink of silverware, the laughter of others, the scent of warm food, all of it faded into the background as that look settled into your nervous system. Your body felt it before your mind did. Something ancient stirred, not fear, awareness. The kind of knowing that doesn't shout, but hums low in your bones like the beginning of a storm. She watched you closely that night, more than she ever had before. Not in admiration, not in familial love, but with the focus of someone studying something they thought they'd buried and was now seeing rise again. Your gift made you sense it. She wasn't just sitting at the table, she was tracking you, spiritually scanning for cracks in your armor like she knew something had shifted. And the truth, it had. You've been changing, glowing, hearing more, knowing more. And Heaven's been preparing you for this. This dinner, this look, this betrayal cloaked in baked bread and small talk. When she leaned in to pour the wine, her bracelet caught the light. But it wasn't the jewelry that made your pulse shift. It was the symbol, engraved, old, almost like a forgotten sigil from your dreams. Your eyes widened, but only inwardly. You knew better than to flinch in front of watchers. Your face remained steady, but your soul, it reached for the divine. God, what is this? You whispered inside, even as you nodded politely at her. And the answer came quickly. She's not just family. She's a carrier of a contract she never agreed to, but one she's trying to fulfill anyway. You don't remember when it began, do you? That unease around her, that static before she enters the room. It wasn't always this way, but lately there's been a shift. Conversations cut short when you enter, glances exchanged, her over-interest in where you go, what you read, who you talk to. And the one time she asked what you dreamed about, that wasn't small talk, that was surveillance. Heaven wants you to understand something now before this war escalates. She knows more than she's letting on. She's seen the signs. She's heard things in the spirit, and she suspects that you, quiet, intuitive, underestimated you, are the one the prophecy marked, the one her bloodline warned about. And if that's true, then her plan isn't just about curiosity. It was never supposed to be found. You wrapped it in fabric older than language, tucked it where only the spirit could lead someone, not the eyes. You didn't even think about it much anymore, until the atmosphere changed. It happened 2 days after dinner, a subtle tension in the house, a silence that wasn't peaceful, but alert. She didn't mention it. Of course she wouldn't, but something in the way she walked past you, slower, more precise. Something in the way her eyes didn't flicker this time, told you everything you needed to know. She found it, the object you hid, and she touched it. That alone could trigger a chain of things. It was small, fragile, and radiant, not to the average person, but to someone spiritually attuned or spiritually ambitious. It hummed like a beacon, and now it had been disturbed, shifted, exposed. You checked the place anyway, as if you didn't already know the truth, and sure enough, it wasn't quite where you left it. The cloth had been folded differently. The inner lining of salt had been disrupted, smeared as if someone had panicked mid-exploration. She didn't understand it fully, not yet, but she took something from it. Maybe energy, maybe a glimpse, maybe just confirmation of what she feared, that you are not like them. The object wasn't material, not really. That's why it couldn't be destroyed. It was a holding device, spiritual memory embedded into physical form. A lockbox for one of the oldest truths about who you are and what you carry. And now that she's touched it, she's tasted the warning, that was stitched into its fibers. Because protection doesn't always look like light. Sometimes it feels like nausea. Sometimes it burns the fingertips of those who seek with impure motives. She'll never admit it, but her body knows now. Her dreams have changed. The veil is lifting, and you, chosen one, are no longer hidden. You must understand something. This wasn't about curiosity. It was about inheritance. She believes you've taken something that was supposed to fall to her. Not wealth, not status, something older. A role, a prophecy, a spiritual appointment passed through bloodlines, and she thinks you intercepted it. She's wrong about that. You didn't steal it. It was always yours. But envy doesn't need truth. It only needs suspicion and time. Heaven showed you this moment years ago in pieces. In that dream with the hallway of mirrors. In the nightmare where she had no face but kept calling your name. Back then, it didn't make sense. Now it's unfolding with brutal clarity. She's not just watching anymore. She's preparing, gathering, reading, trying to reverse engineer your protection as if it's a formula, not a favor. She didn't mean for you to see it. That much was clear. The notebook wasn't left out. It was buried, tucked behind old tax files and expired mail, wrapped in a rubber band that had nearly melted into itself. You weren't snooping. You were looking for a charger. But heaven has a way of guiding hands where they're needed, doesn't it? The moment you touched it, your fingertips tingled, not from paper cuts, but from power. Your name wasn't written on the cover, but it might as well have been. The weight of it felt familiar, like the air in a room when someone's just said your name behind your back. You flipped it open carefully. First page, dated 2 years before you even met her. And there it was, a description of someone she saw in a dream. Blue gold light, blinding but calm. The figure was veiled. They didn't speak, but everything stopped moving around them. Time bent. I felt fear and worship at the same time. You read it twice. You knew that light. You've seen it in your own dreams, the way heaven colors things that don't belong to the natural world. And the description wasn't vague. The energy matched yours exactly. She was dreaming of you before she even knew you. Page after page, it got more detailed. She described visions of family dinners that hadn't happened yet, conversations that mirrored real events, and most disturbingly, a moment where you glowed so brightly in the dream, her spirit recoiled. They carry a frequency I wasn't taught to understand. I want it. I fear it. I feel erased by it. She didn't write these entries like reflections. She wrote them like warnings, like someone documenting the rise of a storm they can't stop. And each time your aura appeared in her visions, it got stronger, until she stopped calling you the figure and started using your name, your real name, the one not everyone knows, the one heaven calls you by. You closed the book slowly, heart pounding, but not with fear, with knowing. This wasn't just obsession, it was spiritual obsession. A fixation born not of curiosity, but of displacement. She knew, somehow deep down, that your presence meant a shift, that your arrival tilted the spiritual alignment of the family, and now she was trying to decode it, or control it, or perhaps extinguish it. But what she didn't understand, what she still doesn't understand, is that your aura isn't artificial. It wasn't given by a ritual. It was inherited from heaven itself. It started long before you arrived, before she married into the family, before she even knew your name. The feeling that she had been overlooked, bypassed, spiritually bypassed, not by people, but by heaven itself. She's carried that wound in silence for years, wore it like perfume, undetectable to most, but pungent to the spirit. She watched others rise, watched blessings fall where she thought they should land. And when you walked in, without trying, without posturing, without performance, something in her cracked, because she didn't just see you as a person. She saw you as proof. Proof that she wasn't chosen, that the spiritual inheritance she believed should have been hers had skipped her entirely. She studied the lineage, asked subtle questions during holidays, dug into family history like an archaeologist searching for a loophole. "Do you know if your grandmother had a sister?" she once asked you, casual, like she was just making conversation. But that wasn't conversation. That was a spiritual audit. She wasn't tracing ancestry for tradition. She was tracing power, looking for missing threads that might explain why the frequency lives in you and not her. Her jealousy isn't loud. It's sacred, ritualistic, a slow simmer that smells like incense and speaks in passive-aggressive prayers. She doesn't want to be you. She wants what you carry. She believes she was meant for it, and somewhere, something went wrong. You felt it, haven't you? That strange pressure around her, like the air gets thinner when you speak, like she's waiting for you to say something you don't even know you know. Heaven says she feels robbed. That's the truth she won't speak aloud. Every time you shine, every time you dream something that later comes true, every time someone in the family turns to you for discernment, her insides twist, because to her, it confirms the divine bypass, that the crown she expected was given to you instead. But here's what she doesn't understand, and what you must never forget. Heaven doesn't misplace glory. God doesn't assign purpose based on birth order, marriage, or effort. It's written in frequency, etched in the spirit. And your name, the one whispered in dreams, the one that vibrates through dimensions, was always carved into this inheritance. You didn't steal it, you remembered it. That's the difference. She's been trying to construct a calling. You've just been answering yours. There's a reason she can't copy it, a reason no ritual has ever given her what flows naturally through you. You weren't activated by envy, you were ignited by God. And now that the inheritance is awakening in full, she feels the gap widening, not just between you and her, but between her and the truth she's afraid to face. She wasn't bypassed. She was never chosen. It was supposed to be a celebration, a birthday, an anniversary. You don't even remember anymore. Because what happened that day burned hotter than the reason you were all gathered. The food was warm, but the atmosphere was ice. And you noticed it the second you walked in. The shift wasn't loud, it was microscopic. The way voices lowered, the way her eyes didn't meet yours, the way someone you've known your whole life hugged you with one arm instead of two. It didn't feel like a party, it felt like an evaluation. And you were the subject, not of admiration but of scrutiny. She had already planted seeds. There's a kind of cold that doesn't come from air conditioning or weather. It comes from spirit, from unspoken agreements forged in jealousy and wrapped in civility. They smiled, but it didn't reach their hearts. They asked questions, but only to measure your answers. Still doing that energy stuff? You still having those dreams? You ever think of just taking a break from all of it? At first it sounded like concern, but heaven helped you discern the undertone. Doubt. Doubt she whispered to them in confidence. Doubt she disguised as concern. Doubt she cast like a fog over your name. She had been working in silence, spreading little versions of her story. They think they're spiritually gifted, but they're just sensitive. Sometimes people use trauma as a personality. They're obsessed with signs. It's not healthy. Nothing direct, nothing you could quote, but enough to tilt the perception, enough to make people lean back just slightly when you leaned in. And in that room, surrounded by people who claimed to love you, you felt more alone than ever. Not because they hated you, but because she rewrote your story before you could tell it yourself. You left early that night, not because you wanted to, but because the temperature in the room wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual frost. You could feel your body rejecting the energy, the way your stomach turned, the way your skin itched, the way your spirit began pulling back into itself like it knew it wasn't safe to bloom there. And that's when heaven spoke clearly. She's not trying to isolate you. She's trying to surround you with silence. Because she knows something you might have forgotten. Your voice shifts atmospheres. She thought if she could shift the room before you arrived, your frequency wouldn't have space to spread. She wanted to freeze your impact, to numb your presence, to turn allies into bystanders. But what she doesn't know is that silence has never been your weakness. It's been your classroom. You don't need applause to activate, you need obedience. And in that moment, God was showing you the battlefield. The family table wasn't a celebration, it was a war disguised as dessert. They never suspected it was you. That was the brilliance of heaven's plan. While everyone looked for power dressed in prestige, charisma, money, noise, God wrapped you in ordinariness, gave you the gift of invisibility, not because you were meant to stay small, but because what was growing in you needed protection. From the moment you were born, the spiritual realm took notice, and so did the enemies hiding in familiar faces. That's why God cloaked you, not with weakness, but with camouflage. You weren't overlooked, you were shielded, because sometimes the only way to protect divine inheritance is to keep it moving through the quiet ones. You didn't ask for this calling, but you carried it with grace, even when it felt like isolation. They thought your silence meant uncertainty, but heaven saw it for what it really was: strategy. While others built platforms, you built altars. While they chased validation, you cultivated discernment. And now, your light has grown too loud to hide. But the timing wasn't random. Heaven has revealed you now for a reason, because the one who's been watching you isn't just envious anymore. She's preparing something, and she's doing it with urgency, because she can feel that her window to stop you is closing. She's noticed it, the way people now ask for your opinion before they ask for hers, the way rooms shift when you walk in, the way prayers seem to move faster when you're in the circle. She thought she had more time to manipulate perception, more time to study you quietly under the guise of concern. But heaven has accelerated your visibility, not for status, for impact. And that scares her, because she knows the truth now. You were hidden for her protection too. If she had known earlier who you were, she would have tried to dismantle you sooner. But heaven kept you veiled until the oil was fully settled in your bones. The irony? She thinks she sees you clearly now. She thinks she understands your habits, your tells, your limits. But she still doesn't see the whole picture, because what's activating in you now has never been seen before. She's basing her strategy on the version of you that was not the version that's arriving. She's preparing for a fight with the old you. But God is unveiling the ascended you, the version soaked in discernment, covered in clarity, reinforced by covenant. Heaven didn't hide you because you weren't ready. Heaven hid you because they weren't ready. And now, the unveiling has begun, not in public speeches, not in grand entrances, but in quiet revelations, divine timing, and irreversible favor. She still thinks she's one step ahead, still believes she has time to act before the shift finalizes. It wasn't even words at first, just tone, a low, calculated murmur slipping under a closed door like incense. You weren't eavesdropping, you were just passing through the hallway when the vibration caught you. That tightening in your chest you've learned to trust more than your ears. Spirit speaks in sensation before it speaks in sound, and this time it stopped you mid-step, because your name had just been spoken, not your full name, not your casual name. The version she used was weighted, the kind used when people speak about you, not to you. And it was laced with tension, as if even saying it felt dangerous. She wasn't alone. You couldn't hear the other voice clearly. Male, older, unfamiliar. But the rhythm of it suggested agreement, not curiosity, not questioning. Agreement. That's what made your skin go cold. Because what you heard next wasn't just conversation. It was a strategy session. "They're getting too confident," she said. "Ever since they started showing up like this, something's shifted." Then a pause, as if weighing whether to continue. "The dreams are getting clearer, and that light, it burns now. I think they're starting to remember who they are." That's when you knew. This wasn't emotional envy anymore. This was spiritual warfare. She wasn't just annoyed by your presence. She felt threatened by it. Threatened enough to seek counsel. Threatened enough to prepare. You stood there, breath shallow, heart steady. The old you might have walked away, rationalized it, told yourself you misunderstood, but not this time. The veil is off now, and what you heard confirmed what heaven already whispered. You're not paranoid, you're being positioned. She's made you her project, not out of hatred, but out of desperation, because something in her spirit knows if you keep rising, her influence fades. If you keep remembering, her illusion collapses. That's why she's forming alliances now, quiet ones, spiritual ones, alignments that feel harmless on the surface, but in the unseen realm, they reek of counterfeit power and ancestral resentment. You didn't need to hear the rest. Heaven stopped your ears after that moment, because the point wasn't to collect proof, it was to awaken precision. You are being watched, but not in admiration. You're being studied like a map someone's trying to decode. They think if they can trace the source of your power, they can replicate it, or worse, dismantle it. But what they don't understand is this. Your gift didn't come from a method. It came from a mantle, and a mantle can't be mimicked. It must be given. The door creaked. She stepped out, startled to see you standing there. Her mouth formed a greeting, but her eyes widened just enough to betray what her spirit screamed. It wasn't candles and cloaks, not like the movies. It was subtler, more ancestral. She used things that once belonged to you. A strand of hair left in a brush, a cup you drank from at dinner, even a torn thread from your scarf that she folded into something small and sacred to her. The materials were ordinary, but the intention was not. And intention, chosen one, is the true altar. She didn't chant aloud. She whispered names, whispered scripture twisted backward, whispered prayers not to God, but to something that demands exchange. She wasn't seeking revelation, she was seeking control, and that's why it failed. Heaven blocked it before it could root. But still, you felt it. That sudden weight pressing on your chest in the middle of the night, that inexplicable fog in your thoughts the next morning, the heaviness that didn't feel like yours, because it wasn't. It was residue, spiritual fallout from something that tried to thread itself into your field. You didn't know at the time, but your spirit registered it immediately. That's why the dreams got louder. That's why certain songs started haunting your ears, and strange birds began appearing at the window. God was alerting you. Someone tried to put hands on what they don't have access to. She learned the ritual from her grandmother, that old woman with too many locked drawers and too many dried herbs hanging in secret places. Generational resentment disguised as spiritual knowledge. The ritual wasn't to hurt you, not directly. It was to contain you, to cap your glow, to mute your influence. She hoped to dull your edge just enough so that you'd start questioning yourself. That was her real aim, not to wound, but to weaken. Because if she could get you to doubt your frequency, your voice, your inheritance, the rest would unravel naturally. But she underestimated something heaven made permanent, your covering. The moment she invoked your name, an angel was dispatched. Not one with soft wings and glowing robes, one built for war. Your spirit felt the tremor when it entered the room she called sacred, because it wasn't sacred, it was desperate. And God doesn't respond to desperation built on envy, He responds to identity. And yours, chosen one, was sealed long before she ever lit her first match. She doesn't know the ritual backfired, not yet, but you do. You felt the echo shift. You felt her stare differently the next time you saw her, almost as if she was unsure now, unsure of how you keep standing, why your light keeps getting stronger, why her steps suddenly feel heavier. That's because part of her offering bounced back. That's the price of touching what's holy without permission. She thought she was alone. That's the danger of spiritual pride. It convinces you that secrecy is safety, that if the door is locked and the lights are low, your actions remain unseen. But mirrors don't lie in the spirit. And that night, when she stood before the one in her room, the tall, antique one passed down from her grandmother, something else stood there too. She didn't see it at first, but her reflection changed. Not in shape, but in pressure. The air behind her thickened, and the energy that mirrored her wasn't her own. She stared deeper, leaning in, confused by the delay between her movements and what echoed back. Then it blinked, and she didn't. The mirror had become a window, a veil, a portal, and through it, an angel observed her, not with judgment, but with recording eyes. This wasn't a visit for punishment. This was a visit for documentation. Heaven had sent a watcher, not because she was powerful, but because she was interfering. She spoke your name again that night, not in reverence, but with blame. They've bewitched the family. It's not natural. She was speaking to herself, but the mirror heard it. Angels don't need microphones. They log frequencies, not words. And your name, chosen one, carries vibration. It shakes when spoken with venom. She lit something small. You would have smelled rosemary and lemon balm. But beneath it, the bitter trace of envy laced with fear. She wasn't performing a ritual this time. She was unraveling. Her fear was showing, because what she saw in the mirror, the slight shimmer, the delay, the echo that no longer obeyed her body, that wasn't supposed to happen. That only happens when spiritual surveillance is activated. She wanted control. Heaven responded with exposure. The angel wasn't there to harm her. That's not how heaven moves. But it wanted her to know that every act has been seen, that nothing whispered goes unheard, that every intention, even the ones she tries to justify with phrases like just protecting the family or trying to get answers, has been catalogued. You weren't even in the room, but your spirit was. That's what she didn't expect. The mirror caught more than her image. It caught the imbalance between you and her, between divinely assigned purpose and desperately attempted proximity. She backed away eventually, covered the mirror with a cloth, but it was too late. The recording had been completed, and something in her changed after that night. She's been quieter, but not in peace, in panic, because now she knows she's not alone. She's being watched, not by you, not by people. You didn't speak the next morning, but something passed between you. A glance, a hesitation, a spiritual residue still clinging to your shoulders like smoke. You knew. She knew. Neither of you said a word, but you had both crossed into the same dimension while the world slept. Heaven allowed it, not as a punishment, as proof. She needed to see what you see, and you needed confirmation that this battle was no longer just symbolic. It had entered the dream realm, a realm where masks don't hold and energy cannot lie. You woke with your heart racing, not from fear, but from proximity to something ancient. In the dream, you were standing in a circle of stone, surrounded by water that reflected no stars. A fog moved like breath across the surface, and in the distance, someone was crying, not from pain, but from revelation. You turned, and she was there, not dressed in robes or shadows, but in her real skin, her real posture, stripped of her performances. She looked small, not powerless, just surprised. Surprised to see you shining even here, where light is earned, not inherited. She stepped back like your glow burned, and that's when you heard it. The sound of chains she hadn't realized were on her wrists. She tried to speak, but her voice echoed in reverse, not silenced, scrambled. Heaven was protecting you even here. You understood that now, because while you stood free, her aura was clouded, not by evil, but by choices. Envy doesn't leave clean fingerprints in the spirit, it leaves smudges, and she was covered in them. She reached for something, maybe a tool, maybe a defense, maybe a truth she hadn't fully accepted. But before she could touch it, the circle lit up around you. Not fire, not lightning, recognition. You weren't being activated, you were being announced. You awoke at 3:33 a.m., gasping, hands tingling, chest alive with heat. And you knew, so did she. She came into the kitchen later, eyes red, movements uncertain. You saw it in her face. She had seen the throne room of your destiny. She had stood near the frequency of your calling, and it rattled her. Not because she hated you, but because in the dream, even her spirit had bowed. That dream wasn't imagination. It was spiritual arbitration, and heaven had used it as a courtroom. She had accused you in silence for years. Now she was forced to see the evidence. The light, the authority, the glow that couldn't be manufactured. And the part that broke her the most? You never attacked her. You just stood there. It was never meant to be found. Tucked behind false panels, wrapped in animal skin, bound by twine that smelled like ash and rosewater. She didn't bring it into the house. It came with the lineage, passed down quietly. A mother's secret to a daughter, not by love, but by inheritance of resentment. She wasn't supposed to open it until the signs aligned. That's what her grandmother told her. And then you arrived, not as a threat, as the sign. The moment she saw your eyes, that flicker of recognition mixed with discomfort, she remembered the warning. If the light walker enters your family, check the book. She waited weeks before obeying, feared it. But curiosity and envy make powerful accomplices. The night she opened it, she felt a pressure in the room, something watching. And when she turned the third page, there it was, your name, not your full name, just the spiritual sound of it, the one not spoken in the physical realm, but echoed across dreams, prayers, and divine encounters. She didn't understand how it was possible. You weren't supposed to exist, not in her version of the family story. But the book didn't lie. It recorded events before they happened, names before they were born, contracts before they were signed in flesh. She read the entries obsessively. Some were in languages she couldn't decode. Others were images, symbols that pulsed when she stared at them too long. But one entry stood out, a drawing, a figure cloaked in shadow but radiating gold from the chest. Her hands trembled as she traced the outline. The caption beneath it was simple, "The one who awakens the sealed," and scribbled in the corner, hastily, as if by someone frightened, was your name again. Smaller, underlined, dated decades before you were born. She slammed the book shut that night. Burned sage, spilled salt. But it was too late. The moment the book recognized your presence in her bloodline, the record was activated, and heaven took notice. You felt it, didn't you? That strange jolt in your spine 3 nights ago. The heat in your palms for no reason. That wasn't random. That was recall. Your name had been read aloud in a house that tried to deny your place. And the spirits that walk with you, the ancient ones assigned by covenant, not charm, stood up. She's hidden the book since, locked it away again. but the pages have already changed. That's what happens when sacred contracts are opened in the wrong spirit. They mutate, and now your name isn't just written once, it's written 17 times. Each entry a chapter, each chapter a warning. Not to you. It was quick, almost nothing. A passing moment in the kitchen in front of others. She laughed, called out to you, and used a name that doesn't belong to you. But the room froze. She tried to correct it immediately, to smooth it over with a shrug and another joke. "Sorry," she said, too casually. "I was thinking of someone else." But you weren't. You never were. That name she spoke, it wasn't a random mistake. It was a spiritual echo. One that slipped past the guard of her mouth because her spirit was speaking faster than her lies. The name she used was foreign to everyone else there, but not to you, because you'd heard it before, once, in a dream you had as a child. The voice in the dream had said it gently, like an announcement more than a command. You didn't know what it meant back then, but when she spoke it aloud, accidentally, your body remembered. A vibration ran down your spine, not fear, recognition. Heaven whispered, she called you by the name she saw in the other realm. And that was the moment it all clicked. That wasn't her voice speaking, that was her spirit leaking. She'd seen you under another name, the name recorded in the grimoire, the one the ancestors feared and protected against, or tried to, the one her grandmother never dared speak out loud, but likely muttered in dreams. And in that moment of accidental truth, she admitted everything without meaning to. She knew who you were. Not the version sitting calmly at the table, the other version, the veiled one, the one who glows in dreams and rewires atmospheres without effort. And her mistake was heaven's strategy, because it wasn't for you, it was for them, the people in the room, the ones still unsure, still neutral. They didn't understand the full weight of the moment, but they felt it. Something in the air broke. They watched her flinch. They watched you pause, not with confusion, but with clarity. You didn't correct her. You didn't laugh it off. You simply looked at her and let the silence do the speaking, because that name wasn't an error. It was an invocation. She'd spoken what she feared, and heaven made sure she did it where witnesses stood. Later, she avoided your eyes. Her energy pulled inward like someone nursing a burn, and you knew why. That one slip cost her more than she realized, because now the veil was torn. She could no longer pretend to be ignorant, no longer fake confusion. She had spoken in code for so long, but this time the code cracked. There's a silence around her now that wasn't there before, not the peaceful kind, the charged kind, the kind that follows spiritual surveillance. She walks slower, sleeps less. Her energy feels frayed, not because you've done anything, but because heaven has. The records are being opened, not earthly ones, the ones kept in the realm where nothing is forgotten, not intent, not whispers, not ritual. You may not see the books, but your spirit hears the pages turning, and she feels it too. That uncomfortable sensation that everything she thought she'd hidden is now being reviewed, line by line, moment by moment. It started the night she spoke your name by mistake. That was the trigger. In the divine courts, names are keys, and she turned yours without permission. That act, that utterance from a posture of resentment, alerted the scribes. Not the kind that write with ink, the kind that record with light, the kind that don't just see what's done, but why it was done. Now her intentions are under judgment, not punishment, judgment, discernment from heaven's side, because God doesn't destroy without understanding the origin, but he also doesn't let prolonged envy go unchecked, especially when it targets someone he's marked. You've probably noticed the shift around her. The way her voice has changed slightly, the way she avoids spiritual topics now, the way her dreams are disrupted, violent storms, locked doors, faceless watchers. That's not paranoia, that's divine response. The realm she once tried to manipulate is now responding to her actions with reflection, not to destroy her, but to hold up the mirror she's been avoiding her entire life. Because what heaven's records reveal is not just what she's done to you, but why she became this version of herself in the first place. That's the part that's breaking her. Because it's not just her envy being exposed, it's her own buried wounds, her own sense of rejection, her fear that she was born powerless and irrelevant. All of it is rising now, not to shame her, but to confront her. Heaven is still offering her a path to repentance. That's the mercy of the divine. But she's resisting it. She still thinks this is a game of energy and influence. She still thinks she can outmaneuver the consequences. But you, chosen one, you're not focused on revenge. You're focused on alignment. Heaven is showing you all of this for a reason. Because vindication doesn't always look like someone falling. It looks like truth standing up. And that's what's happening now. The truth of who you are is rising. And the record of who she's been, behind closed doors, beneath veiled tones, inside private rituals, is being read aloud in the realm that decides outcomes. You weren't supposed to see it. She didn't show it to you. Heaven did. A quiet nudge, a misplaced folder, a moment when she left her phone face up and unlocked. You didn't snoop. The image found you. And when it did, your breath caught. Because there you were, in a photograph you don't remember taking, in a place you've never stood, wearing something you've never owned. The background was blurred, but the energy wasn't. That moment was real and yet impossible. You stared at it, not confused, activated. Your spirit surged like it was pulling memory from a place beyond the body. You knew it instantly. This wasn't a photo of your flesh. This was a spiritual snapshot, a captured echo from a realm few people can enter, let alone photograph. But she had, and that meant something far more dangerous. She'd been watching you across timelines, not just in waking life, not just in dreams. She'd been looking for a crack in the veil, and she found it. Somehow, she'd taken technology and aligned it with intention, and that picture, it was the result of unauthorized access. A moment pulled from your astral self, frozen in pixels, stored in a folder labeled unsorted. But that image wasn't unsorted. It was protected, wrapped in digital confusion, hidden behind ordinary things. You felt it. When your eyes met your own in that photo, the still version of you blinked in your mind. Not fear, contact. That version of you was aware, awake, watching right back. And that's when heaven whispered, she took something she wasn't allowed to hold. But even there, you were guarded. She doesn't know what she captured. Not fully. She thinks it's evidence. Proof that you've been tampering, manipulating energy, walking between dimensions without permission. She's planning to use it, not against you publicly, but spiritually, as leverage, as if she can blackmail the divine. But what she doesn't realize is, she didn't take the photo. The photo allowed itself to be taken, because heaven wanted it to be discovered. This was never about surveillance. It was about exposure. Not for you, for her. That image has been encoded, not digitally, spiritually. The moment she opened it, her device became a witness. The metadata now carries vibration, the same way some relics hold curses when stolen from tombs. She didn't steal a picture, she stole a prophecy's reflection. And now, her dreams have changed again. The figure in the photo appears beside her bed at night, not attacking, not speaking, just watching, with your eyes. Because there are things you don't remember yet. moments you haven't consciously lived, but have already occurred. It didn't return the way she expected. That's how curses collapse, not with fire or thunder, but with confusion. The energy she sent out didn't land. It circled, it hovered, it lingered at the edge of your field like a predator met with something ancient, something older than her name, older than her rituals. What she thought would bind you disintegrated on contact, not because you fought it, but because God reversed it. Silently, completely, and with divine precision, he sent it back, not as punishment, as revelation. So she would know exactly what she tried to unleash, and exactly why it would never touch you. It started with her headaches, then the nausea, then the strange dreams where she was running, but her legs wouldn't move. She thought it was stress, but her spirit knew. The very tools she used to contain you were now bending in her direction, not violently, mathematically, because in heaven's design, every curse travels by coordinates. And when the coordinates are off, when the heart that sends it is out of alignment, the energy reroutes to its origin. She aimed for your voice, and now hers trembles. She aimed for your glow, and now her lights flicker. She aimed for your rest, and now she wakes up exhausted, no matter how long she sleeps. The curse didn't stick because there was no agreement. That's the law she forgot. Spiritual contracts require permission, even if unconscious, even if inherited. But your lineage was sealed, your mind was covered, your dreams guarded, not because you asked, because you were marked. Before her ritual ever began, angels had already been dispatched, not to fight her, to neutralize what wasn't authorized. And when they did, the weight of what she conjured didn't just vanish, it reversed course. You've probably felt it, that sudden lift in your spirit, that moment when everything started moving again, the clarity, the momentum, the peace. That wasn't random, that was reversal. Heaven rewrote the coordinates, not just to protect you, but to reveal her, to make the unseen undeniable. She knows now. Her body betrays her, her sleep betrays her. And soon, her alliances will too, because what she bound herself to, in hopes of silencing you, is now questioning her allegiance. That's the risk of borrowing darkness. It always collects. But here's the part that should still your soul, chosen one. You never retaliated. You didn't need to. The blessing you carry is built with backlash protection. Psalm 91 was written over your blood. Isaiah 54:17 is tattooed across your timeline. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. That's not poetic. That's structural. That's why the curse cracked. She doesn't know it yet, but the hour is set. Heaven has marked the moment, 3:33 a.m., not chosen at random. That number pulses through the spirit realm as a divine code, a convergence point between dimensions, when angelic messengers pass through the veil and deliver not just dreams, but verdicts. It's the hour prophets are awakened, the hour chains quietly break, the hour watchmen feel their skin crawl. And for her, it will be the hour of confrontation, not by you, not by men, but by a presence that cannot be reasoned with or explained away. It will begin with the silence, deeper than sleep, thicker than night. She'll awaken without knowing why, heart pounding, body alert. She'll reach for her phone. It won't turn on. She'll try to speak. Her voice will catch. The room will feel too still. And that's when she'll feel it. The weight. Not fear exactly. Something holier, heavier. A divine gravity that presses not on flesh, but on soul. A being will be in the room, not in shadow, not in fire, but in authority, clothed in stillness, eyes like consequence, and in its presence, she'll remember everything. Not just what she's done, but why she did it. The angel won't speak. It won't need to, because the energy it carries will vibrate through her ribs with revelation. She'll see visions, moments when she could have turned back, opportunities to confess, opportunities to bless instead of bind. She'll see the meals, the glances, the silent agreements made in her spirit, and she'll see you, not as a victim, but as a vessel. One hand on earth, one hand on heaven, glowing in the very light she tried to snuff out. The angel will not harm her, but it will warn her. Time is running out, because this isn't just about you anymore. This is about the ripple. What she tried to stop wasn't a person. It was a frequency heaven released into the bloodline for healing, for clarity, for breaking generational bondage. She thought she was silencing you, but she was interfering with prophecy, and that has consequences. The visit at 3:33 isn't punishment, it's mercy. It's one last invitation to turn, to release, to bow, and she'll have a choice. The next morning, she'll move differently. She won't speak of what happened, but her eyes will, and you'll know, you'll feel it, the trembling in her spirit, the static in her voice, the faint imprint of wings that brushed her soul in the dark. She'll avoid your gaze, not out of shame, but out of recognition, because the warning was clear. The light she tried to bind is backed by a kingdom. You doubted yourself for years, silenced your knowing to keep the peace, dimmed your light to avoid being labeled too much. And every time your gift stirred, in dreams, in rooms, in sudden knowing, you questioned it. You told yourself maybe it was imagination, maybe you were wrong, but you weren't. You were right. Every moment you paused because your spirit said, not yet. Every time you felt someone's true intention behind their smile. Every instance your hands tingled or your stomach turned. You weren't being sensitive. You were being shown. And now the full picture has arrived. She stood beside you this morning, quieter, smaller, not because you diminished her, but because the weight of truth reshaped her posture. She felt it, that heaven didn't just shield you, it affirmed you. And somewhere deep in her, she knows. All her efforts to delay the inevitable only confirmed what she feared. You've always been the one, not because you fought harder, but because you listened, not to them, to God, to that subtle, sacred whisper that everyone else ignored. The gift you tried to dismiss, that was never just intuition, that was instruction. You were sent into that family as a frequency disruptor, a breaker of patterns, a carrier of echoes from heaven. And she sensed it before you even opened your mouth. That's why she circled you. That's why she studied you. Because even before you remembered who you were, she did. And now the game is over. The mask has fallen. The veil has torn. What was hidden is now fully seen. And your light, it didn't just survive, it spread. You see it now, not just in her eyes, but in your own. The way people come to you differently. The way doors open without you forcing them. The way your very presence triggers truth. You don't have to prove anything. You are the proof. Your gift wasn't given for decoration, it was given for transformation. And now that you trust it, it's multiplying. Faster, deeper, louder, but with peace. Because heaven doesn't amplify chaos, it amplifies calling. What you feel stirring in you now, that's activation. That's the next layer unlocking, and you're not walking into it timidly. You're walking with full awareness that your knowing is holy. Your dreams are maps, your energy is armor, your silence is strategy, and your presence is prophecy fulfilled. The enemy tried to make you doubt yourself because he knew the moment you trusted your gift, everything would change. And it has. So breathe. Stand taller now. Smile without shrinking. Speak when prompted, and only when prompted.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.